Welcome back to the Life LatesTadapt podcast, Adapt to Thrive. In our previous episode, we explored the human side of climate resilience, how to engage our communities and turn citizens into molders of their own environment. Today, we are getting our hands dirty and looking at the physical heart of the project with the episode From Blueprint to Soil, touring the 8 Baltic demo sites. We aren't just talking about the theory anymore, we are building. The project isn't just about planting trees, it's about creating validated portfolio that other cities in the Baltic region and in the EU can replicate. Across 8 municipalities in Estonia and Latvia, the project is developing and testing a set of nature-based solutions designed to prevent climate change-related risks as flooding, drought, heat, and loss of biodiversity. These sites serve as living laboratories where digital change meets the natural world. To take us on this tour, we have the leaders managing these sites on the ground and the scientists monitoring every drop of water. Arnita Verza from Riga municipality, Zanda Lapsa from Valmiera municipality, Kaie Enno from Narva municipality, Kerli Koe from the Rakvere municipality, Kerta Koi from Teltek, and Jurijs Kondratenko from Riga Technical University. And together we will look at how these 8 experiments are turning grey infrastructure into green resilience. To start, maybe also for the listeners, you can think of the 8 demonstration sites as city pilot programs for a new software. You don't just release a new app to everyone at once. You test it on different devices to see where the bugs are. The sensors act as the error reporting system, telling the developers exactly how the system handles the heavy data, so that when it's time for the final release, the whole Sponge City operating system runs perfectly across the entire region. In the project, we have 8 sites across 2 countries, Vimsi, Haapsalu, Rakvere, Voru, and Narva in Estonia, and Riga, Valmiera, and Cēsis in Latvia. This isn't just 8 separate projects. It is one unified demonstration portfolio. However, taking science from the lab to the street requires a shared language. Kerta, let's start with you. How do we ensure that the science to cities knowledge actually reaches these 8 different municipalities to create a standardized approach?
During the project, we have realized that integrating new knowledge with existing workflows, it's difficult because the levels vary greatly for country to country. For example, it is already different how much nature-based solutions have actually been practiced in the country. In Estonia and in Latvia, actually, this is in infancy, as there is a lack of confidence in the functionality of the solutions, while like in Finland and Sweden, they already have been practiced implementing, and it is important for making the solutions more effective. In order to achieve the standardized approach, we first need to understand why we need the nature-based solutions, what information we need for it, and how to create an initial realistic solution based on it. And in addition, the municipalities need also experts who can do this, or we need to find opportunities for cooperation with universities, for example. And this is the problem is not getting the knowledge, but rather where and how to get the necessary information. And also, in short, for the question is that you need to know where and how to obtain the necessary initial data, what forms of cooperation it requires, and how to use the data obtained.
And also, once the bridge is built between science and the city, we need the brain to manage the data. As you said, the specialists and experts, and also to help officials make the right choices in real time. So maybe Yuri's, each of these sites are smart. What makes the integrated decision support system we are developing so essential for the specific demo sites?
Well, the integrated decision support system, I think Ceturtā has actually covered most of it. It's on selecting measures for specific characteristics of the site. So combining things like permeability, flat paths, potential flood areas, presence of municipal land, etc. And then so that's how we know where solutions are needed. But when it comes to the specific solutions that we are building in this project, is the smartness is threefold. One is the design takes into account the specifics of each site, its locations in the catchment, as well as some local site conditions like groundwater level, heat stress in the area, so that influences the choice of specific solutions, etc. And then of course the smartness is in monitoring and sometimes real-time control of those features. For example, soil moisture sensors that are installed in the vegetated area to understand whether some additional irrigation is needed, as well as they provide data on how effective are solutions, or for example, in solutions where we provide water storage in an underground reservoir, water level measurement and salinity measurement that is quite important in our climate, because we use road salt in winter period. So if there is some, let's say, leftover water from winter period, we need to understand whether we can use it for irrigation or not. And then of course in many solutions built in Estonia are oriented towards water quality, so water quality sensors and probes that actually shift the paradigm of water quality in stormwater. Like we historically have measured water quality, let's say, once a year or something like this, and now the sensors allow us doing this every 5 minutes. And we have seen actually it's a perfect use case from this project after installation of those sensors in CESIS, and we have been able to identify incidents of illegal discharges into the river. So when electroconductivity and nitrates spike, and the municipality has been able to trace the source of this contamination, and already pursuing some activities resultant in that. So to summarize, the smartness is in different layers, starting from the selection of the sites and the techniques. And then, of course, in developing specific solutions addressing specific challenges of the site, and continuing with smart sensing and smart maintenance of those solutions.
Okay, thank you for the overall introduction. Let's look at the front lines of the implementation. Our Estonian partners have been moving fast, providing us with the first physical examples of what these solutions look like. Kaie, Narva is one of our Finnish demo sites. Briefly, maybe what was created there, what problems were solved, and what was your biggest reality check moving from plan to soil?
Thank you. The city of Narva has very large territories of Soviet area summer cottages areas. It's about 7,000 plots where people do not live all year around, but they are is used from early spring to late autumn. And those areas have been built at the time when the common water and sewage systems were not built yet. And of course, in those areas, not rainwater sewage systems also. And the fact that it's a big problem in those areas that there is not facilities for fire fighters water in these areas. And our choice for an idea was that rainwater, we want to collect rainwater in those areas and collecting fire fighting water, and also purpose to try all these areas and many different ways to use this collecting water. And we built also a pond, what is aesthetically fulfilling this special environment. What kind of challenges we had? We struggled with three major problems in this time. First one was very difficult to find a designer and building company with a reasonable price, because everybody scared that is a pilot project. They didn't know what the result will and how easy or difficult to achieve the result. And we needed to organize 5 procurement, find both the designer and construction partner. And our lesson was that better to make procurement separately, that designing procurement and construction procurement are not in the same procurement process. And when we had already designs, then builder already had much easier to find, because they knew what to build and what are the possibilities. We had we built our pilot area last year, and unfortunately there was exceptional weather conditions that the local people said that wasn't around 20 years this kind of rainwater, and we had very, very hard construction conditions in the site. However, the builder has been very professional and has solved all the problems and completed the object despite the difficulties in the site. We had one problem with the systems we built, that at first it didn't start to work because the water was too dirty after construction, and small particles flowed from the natural water, and this firefighter tank was fulfilled not quality water, and the system wasn't working. That in this year we need to make one test more to clean all the system, And over the winter time, already all the system cleaned also. And we hope that this year everything will working. So during the process was very different challenges, but at the moment I think that we all good and we finish everything in this year.
Okay, but overall it has finished, but you will test it again, so you are really sure that it works properly, as I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
yeah, it's problem with water.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we will hope that it will be ready for the also maybe some other rainfalls, so it will stay in the right position and quality. But while Narva celebrates its completion, well, approximately, the other cities are just beginning their journey. And transitioning a project from paper to construction site in the middle of a city brings a unique set of challenges. And maybe, Kerala, your site in Rakvere is currently ongoing. What unique climate challenges are you trying to solve, and how are you using nature to manage extreme rainfall?
Well, hello from my side also. Well, in Rakvere we have a natural stream that runs through Rakvere city, which gets its water from the surrounding fields. But in several places in the city, the stream is directed to the pipes. So during heavy rainfalls and snowmelt time, we have heavy floodings in several places in the town. So we haven't started digging or doing any implementation at the moment, but our project, and we will start doing our work at the end of this week. So wish us well that everything goes okay. But we have focused in Rakvere pilot area to rethink that stormwater management to shift from a traditional pipe-based training system towards the open nature-based approaches that can slow down the water flow, buffer it, and naturally treat runoff, and it holds more water. Instead of the closed culvert, we are open a ditch that will be constructed, and this allows stormwater to move naturally, slow it down, the water stream, and temporarily store, reduce pressing and undersized pipes. So we will use also new solutions with wood chip-based filters that will help us to remove pollutants, especially nitrates, because the water comes from around the city fields. And we have very thin soil, so the nitrates go through the soil to the water. So we need to clean the water from the nitrates. And these wood chip filters will help to collect the fertilizers and other human impacted pollutants from the water. So we can clean the water that goes to the Soolika stream after this going through the city. So we will clean and help to minimize the floodings around the city with this project.
Okay, well, sounds a good approach, I think. Yeah, we will think good thoughts that everything works out, and maybe next year we can go and see already the demo site. Well, maybe we won't see the system underneath, but as it will be the open water system, so maybe we will see in the rainfall how it works. But crossing over into Latvia, the approach often begins with precision mapping. We are seeing a strong focus on mapping problem areas and integrating NBS into broader urban greening plans. And if you want to know more about them, follow our next episodes of the podcast. All of the Latvian municipalities are on the way to construct their demo sites too. Arnita, Riga is a dense urban environment. What specific NBS are being implemented in Riga's demo site, and how did mapping heat islands and green spaces help you choose the best location for the impact?
Yes, I would say that the data is the best possible base of making good decisions, right? Especially for the cities, to have the strategic view and prioritize these places, right? To have the best value. Without data, we can't do that. So the mapping of heat islands helped immensely, and not just only for the territories we already kind of knew intuitively, like the city center, perimetral building blocks, a lot of surfaces that gets a lot of heat. But also, I think it was very interesting to see that in Riga case, one of our main problem areas are schools. And I think that took a bit by surprise in our case. And seeing this mapping and these problem areas like that really helped us also with the pilot site. So one of our pilot sites is school territory, and we're trying to see how we can impact the environment in these school territories. So yeah, what we are doing are implementing green walls, making bioswales and rain gardens in the school territory, but also trying to work with street space, because obviously that's also is very problematic areas in not just Riga. I think that's the main problem in a lot of densely built cities. And yeah, we're also going to try to make parklets for the street space and see how that impacts also this heat effect.
And mapping identifies the where, but strategic planning identifies the how. And in Valmiera, this demonstration is part of a much larger vision for the city's future, I would say. And Zanda, you are working on also the urban greening plan in Valmiera in parallel to the construction. How does your demo site serve as a proof of concept for the rest of the city?
Yes, greetings from Valmiera. And I would say that it's a great opportunity for Valmiera to work on the same time on this greening plan and also on the actual construction, because it's kind of an easy way to just zoom in and zoom out and see how reality goes with the planning documents together. And yes, and I think it's the best way how to achieve really good results. And now we are still on this designing process, but I strongly believe that this construction site actually will show the performance of how degraded parking space can change its view, and how green areas can actually change the social awareness, and also how inhabitants can use the space. So it's I think it's yeah, it's at the moment I'm just talking in futuristic plans, but seeing already on the paper, I strongly believe that the result will be really good. And while we are working on these construction plans, it gives us also awareness of scalability. For instance, just to see this difference when you plant one tree, how this environment can change. And it's, I think, even with the small steps, you can create the city larger, nicer and greener, and feel much better how it used to be. Also, I think that this specific project shows how public trust can be achieved, because one thing is when you talk only about futuristic plans, but actually when you pass the usual street and it's suddenly it's different, it really proves that we are going on this planned actions, and it's not just something on the paper, but also in real life, and it's achievable. And then I would say that this project also integrates construction with the sustainability goals, and it's something different how we used to plan our city, and that's why I think it really will work as one really strong prototype for the futuristic plans in general. Also, we picked this site, which is located in the city center, and we can call it as learning laboratory, because we are like introducing so many specialists and landscape architects and engineers, and we are asking so many questions, and there are more answers than still questions than answers, to be honest. But I think in this way it's really interesting to see and to achieve those results based on data, and which is really measurable, because again, before we had just issues, and we kind of were working on the actions, but we know how we usually do. But in this project, it's kind of also you are testing. There are so many interesting questions, and you're still searching for those answers. But I think again, like when we will finish this project, and we will see after few years how it's really worked, then based on those data, it's much stronger. How to say, we can prove that it was worth to invest at the beginning more and more, to spend more time on designing, rather than just quickly get the project, and then actually at the end this result is not what we actually wanted to achieve. And also I think that this project in general will help us to design standards and policy directions, because also we are working on our territorial plan at the moment, so it all go really well together. So it's working kind of in 3, even 4 different scales on the same time, and so I hope Valmiera will stay as green as it is at the moment, and it will become even greener. And yes, as the final, I would mention economic and social value, that we are working on those nature-based solutions, hoping that actually it's our future. And like at least it's one of the tools what we can use, and actually it's not just as a test, or as only a few people wants it, or as something from the wish list, but actually as a very nice, good tool what we can use in general in the future. Yeah.
And exactly how you also reminded us that these sites are also for people. Integrating nature into a city means including the local knowledge of the residents who walk those streets every day. Regarding co-creation, Arnita, how much did the local community input actually change the technical design of the Riga site, if it has changed now?
Yeah, I am a strong believer that co-creation is very, very important. But I also would like to emphasize that we really need to understand how to co-create and how to involve citizens. And I'd say it's not so much from the technical solution part, right? We all have our professions, of course, but when it comes to co-creation, I'd say it's such a strong platform of creating trust, especially if we're talking about municipalities. It's how we interact with our citizens, how we create trust in the municipality that we we do the good deed for them. And also, it's such an amazing platform for all of us to learn. All side like involved sides, the citizens, the public sector, the private sector. That's how we learn, by coming together and talking about these things. But I wouldn't say that that is so much to kind of like adjust the technical solution or the science behind it or the professional, work for these nature-based solutions and technical drawings. So yeah, I think there's limits on how and what citizens kind of like impact in the co-creation. Yeah, but I think it's very important to involve them, to have this support for such solutions being implemented in the city more and more, and the understanding of how that impacts the microclimate for the city, how that helps in our everyday life and living in the city. Yeah, just this acknowledgement of that this is science, this is something that works, and it's not up for discussion, something like that.
Well, especially if it's important for the school, probably for the school children to understand why it's changing, or why do they have this now in the school, or also on the street. If you're living by that street, where will there be a biosphere, and you're like looking, oh, it's just rocks or something, why it's not something beautiful. And yeah, just to communicate with the residents.
Yes,
But yeah,
especially because a lot of the processes happens, underneath the paving, and it's very good to explain what are the processes that is happening. And yeah, as you mentioned, I think school is such a great territory for this co-creation, because kids are so eager to learn, and then they start to involve the parents, and that's the best thing ever, when also the parents starts to getting involved and being interested in these things with their kids.
True. But to prove these sites really work, as we are talking, we need more than just a green thumb. We need the sensors, maybe. We need to establish the relationship between precipitation, runoff, and flooding. Yuris, you are identifying and testing novel sensing techniques. What kind of rain gauge or flow sensors are being installed in the Latvian demo sites to monitor the performance?
Yeah, well, as I have previously mentioned, the smartness of solutions in large comes from picking a right technique for each site, and also picking right measurement equipment and actually understanding what to measure. And so the answer to this question is very nuanced, because I mean, in terms of rain gauges, it's like standard rain gauges. Like there are different approaches. For example, I think in Riga we have installed a simple rain gauge that doesn't have the heater, meaning it like every time before winter we need to take it out and then install it again, which is also a good kind of opportunity to check whether everything is fine, like a debris or some dirt. But if I believe correctly, in Valmiera they are installing a very state-of-art weather station with that collects also snow information. That is important, meaning it has the internal heater that kind of heats the snowfall and then measures the water content of it. But let's say I'll just for like in Valmiera there are kind of two proposed solutions, and we don't know what exactly will be because it's under the development. But let's say this square of Vidzeme University College, which by the way is also a perfect learning lab, because the Vidzeme University College is very let's say advanced in IT and IoT and things like that, and this is like a perfect testing ground for those things. But the sensors that are going to be used there are primarily soil moisture sensors, because the solutions there mainly work like a lot of decentralized solutions that direct runoff into storage, let's say cassettes, so-called hydro rocks that then slowly discharge the water into the surrounding soil. So the most important thing is to get moisture data. But the other solution, where an underground reservoir for water to be used in irrigation use, there we suggest level and conductivity and temperature sensors to be used to provide data on how much water is there available, and as well as on some basic chemical parameters of this water to understand whether it can or cannot be used for irrigation. In TESS, where the emphasis is on water quality, we indeed have water flow sensors, and because water flow sensors are quite expensive, we might, after the project is ended, do some experiments and try to install some cheaper sensors, but that's that is going to be after. But those, let's say, the flow sensors are generally installed in like bigger solutions, like in rivers or some ponds, etc. So there will be some flow sensors, like industrial flow sensors, that basically measure the velocity and of flow as well as water level, and then combine these two measurements to calculate the discharge. But also there will be there are already actually water quality sensors that measure pH, conductivity, temperature, as well as nitrates and dissolved oxygen. And thanks to those sensors, the municipality, as I have mentioned, was able to trade some illegal contamination of the stream. And it's very funny because the budget of this project is quite limited, so it's quite and every municipality in this project faces this issue of downscaling regional solutions to the reality of prices today. And TES's case is that you can say that the impact from sensors is much better than the impact of the physical changes that are done, because like the physical changes they're making is basically protecting or treating runoff from one stormwater outlet from a quite local area, but thanks to the sensing, actually you are then able to trace the contamination where it occurs. And in Riga, again, the sensors reflect the specific needs of the city. Like, and again, it's not yet clear what exactly will be built in Riga. It is under discussion at the moment. But as let's say in the solutions that use infiltration, like ground infiltration, actually exfiltration to the surrounding soil, meaning that from the bioswale, the storm water will percolate to the surrounding soil. We are measuring, or we are, let's say, suggesting to measure both infiltration rate as well as the groundwater level, to understand, okay, how effective are those solutions, as well as do they change groundwater level in a longer term, which is a big thing in Riga. We don't want we want infiltration, but we don't want let's say increase in groundwater level that can be an issue for infrastructure, basement flooding, etc. Then in the solution that is created in this school living lab, we are attempting to make this kind of state-of-art rain garden that uses let's say that is lined, meaning it is it's not connected with infiltration or with exfiltration to the surrounding soil because of the high groundwater level and basement flooding issue. So we are able to collect all the runoff in one point, in one manhole, where we are able to measure. And we use we attempt to use the depth sensor together with V-notch to estimate the discharge, as well as sensors to measure soil moisture, as well as let's say infiltration rate. So yeah, so these are the main sensors that we are planning to use in Latvian sites, and they respect the specifics of each site. And the sensing setup is quite expensive, but we also hope to have an idea. Maybe not in this project, because in this project the main focus is to really test the effectiveness of solutions. But as time goes and as these solutions get more and more widespread, to test also cheaper sensor setups that would allow maybe wider implementation.
Okay, and once that data flows into our models, we have to prove that the plants and soil are actually doing the heavy lifting and preventing the flood before it starts, as we were also talking. Ceturtā, what kind of sensors are being installed in Estonia? Maybe are they really different from the Latvian demo sites to monitor the performance? And also you have the pluvial simulation models that you can use in real time that can maybe help to prevent the flooding. And how do you think of using it?
Yeah, thank you. I'm thanking Juris from the quite he well described the sensors. Actually, they are pretty much the same what we are using in Estonia. In Estonia, we use flow rate sensors, water level sensors, water quality, and the moisture sensors. And what about preventing flood? Actually, you need more like smarter systems, and about the sensors, the choice of water quality sensors depends on the location-based problem, actually, which parameter needs to be monitored, as Yuri said. And about the preventing flood, for example, in Viimsi demo area solution, we have like a combined system for its existing pipelines with the nature-based solutions. And the nature-based solution consists of a buffer pond and a tank. And then at the inlet of the NBS area, a water level sensor is installed on the existing manhole, which is connected to the automatic fluid control system VAL. It's Viimsi municipality's personal system. And the automated system makes it possible to regulate the flow rates flowing in the pipeline during the different stormwater events. So you can if you have very heavy rainfall, then you can close it and so on. You can automatically operate, and the water level sensors gives you the information in the exact time what is the water level. And since Viimsi also has a drought problem in the summer, the designed NBS solution will help reduce the risk of drought also, so they can collect the water into the tank. And if they need to water in hot summer periods, then they can use the water. So yes, this actually in urban areas, it's very important to have this smart elements and this kind of sensors. It helps against flooding very much, because I have also analyzed the multifunctionality of nature-based solutions, and the analysis showed that if we implement the smart elements into the solutions, it's more, you get more benefits against flood risk in the urban areas. Yeah.
Okay, and then we could move to the last topic of today, because finally we have to talk about the bottom line. Resilience isn't just about ecology, it's also about economics. Looking at the costs and also about the maintenance, I have a question maybe to one of the Latvian and one for the Estonian side. About is the long-term upkeep of these green sites more or less convenient than traditional concrete pipes? Maybe Zanda from Latvian side could tell if you have experience before the demo site is completed, and maybe from afterwards, Kerli could tell from the Estonian side.
Yes, we already have some examples where we have used nature-based solutions, and from this experience, we see that the green infrastructure has higher planning and coordination needs upfront, but lower or more distributed long-term life cycle costs compared with traditional concrete pipe systems. Especially when cities account for climate resilience, flooding, and public space benefits. So yes, we strongly believe that actually also this project and this when we will finish this construction site, this also will be the proof that actually traditional grey infrastructure is concentrates costs in heavy construction and eventual replacement. Various green infrastructure spread maintenance into smaller ongoing landscape operations, such as planting care, sedimental removal, or irrigation checks, and so it's much easier. And also, of course, it's the actual result. It's better feeling for human beings. So it's I think it's not just aesthetics, but actual well-being for inhabitants. And actually, you can't even evaluate the cost of this. So I think it's the right directions where we are going now.
True, and maybe Kerli can comment.
Yes, based on Rakvere's experience so far, as we have had several times problems with the pilot area concrete pipes, we have had floodings, and we have had multiple times a situation that we have to conclude excavators and lots of heavy equipment that are actually quite costly. We see that nature-based stormwater solutions do not require less maintenance, but it needs a different approach, because when it's open system, it is much more simpler and likely cost effective, and you can more predict more upfront when will you have water level rising and when will you have problems. But as with the with the gray structure, you can never see the problem coming upfront until it's there already and you have too many problems to solve. So we see that our new pilot site will be more cost effective, and we can see the problems upfront that are at the moment hidden in the pipes, and we don't see them to come. And as the climate change, it is much more effective and cost effective to create a nature-based solution than grey infrastructure with pipes. Of course, we need to plan money to maintain the serving points, to see that all the infrastructure that we will do there is maintained every year and will keep up working for many, many years for us. But I assume, and we have assumed in our municipality, that this cost will be lower than dealing with flooding problems.
And the long-term success depends also on the rules of the game, you could say, because we need to ensure that municipal staff have the protocols they need to keep these sites healthy, as you also said, after the project ends. And I have also a question, so from Latvian and Estonian side, so maybe Arnita and Kaie could comment, how will the maintenance rules being developed will help the staff manage these sites after the project and also maybe others that will be replicated after the project?
So I can start. For our pilot was the most important that we don't use technical or electrical solutions, that maintenance must be the easiest and cheapest ways it is possible and only doable with manpower. So for us, the maintain rules are quite easy. The most important is that has to be maintained the water collecting pond so that it does not grow or is not full of mud, and the plants that clean the pond must stay alive and be maintained, of course. And we have the filter system located between the pond and the tank. It must be cleaned regularly, and fire water tank must also be checked and maintained so that it's not clean, it's enough clean water. So, and finally, the firefighting hydrant must be tested once every 2 years. So it's not too hard, and it's we with purpose made it easy. It's possible. So we think that it's very important when we want to reply all this project and designs all over Narva or why not in Estonia. So
sounds like a good approach. And how is in Riga?
Yes, I agree with Estonian neighbors. The approach of making it as easy as possible is definitely the smart. I think the smart approach for the cities, but also I think it's very important for the cities to understand that it's an ongoing process. Also, the maintenance part, and it's actually the most important part of all this project, right? Because it doesn't have to work for only a year or two. It has to work for as long as it can, and it has to be remade from time to time to work as efficient as it did at the start. So I think the challenge for municipalities is not just the guidance at the start when everything runs as it's supposed to, but that tricky part for public sector to adapt to changes and to kind of like innovate when something goes wrong and adapt to these situations and to understand what to do when something goes wrong, and then note it and learn from our mistakes. And I think that's a bit of a challenge for public sector to be adaptive, flexible, think fast on your feet, and then implement this over and over again and learn from those mistakes. But yeah, I think that's definitely doable. It's just something we have to learn alongside implementing these kind of solutions into our cities. Also, how to take care of them in maybe more flexible manner, because it's nature. It's not it's not something set in stone. It's not something as as we are used to having pipes and then, you know, fixing them, but it's nature, and nature is a bit more finicky, and we have to take that into account also.
And I think that's also sum ups the idea of demo sites overall, because we create them to see how they work, and then we can replicate them and maybe don't do the same problems or errors again and again. But we could sum up maybe with Ceturtā, because once we have the results from all 8 sites, and the project ends in 2027, and the goal is to be more than just local landmarks, how will we package this portfolio for replication also for other maybe EU member sites?
In fact, there is nothing new about these NBS solutions. They are green nature solutions, actually function in our everyday life, but in the urban areas, implementing these solutions, it requires so-called layered solution planning in one location. So we need, as before mentioned, we need very good cooperation. And in order for these solutions to be more widely adopted, it is important to understand how the NBS solutions actually work. Are they helping our cities against flooding, or are they improving our water quality? In Estonia, the most problem is that the water companies, they don't know are they actually working, and they are afraid of that. And the monitoring results give us this overview. And the second crucial thing is to understand the process of planning and designing the solution, how and when to who and when to involve, and thirdly, how to plan the budget correctly. This is also the very important part. And in the budget planning, you need to also think through the maintenance costs, because this is a very weak part in Estonia also. And these points are sufficiently well reflected. If these points are sufficiently well reflected, it provides good and comprehensive knowledge, and people dare to make decisions that promote the establishment of NBS solutions, I think.
Yeah, I think this is a good overall and a great point where to maybe finish the episode. We have traveled today across the Baltics, or maybe Latvia and Estonia more, from the construction sites into the smart sensors and living laboratories in Riga, Valmiera, Narva, and Rakvere. It is clear that these 8 demonstration sites are more than just parks or maybe ponds. They are the living nervous system of our future sponge cities. A massive thank you to Arnita, Zanda, Kaie, Kerli, Ceturtā, and Juris for showing us that when science, technology, and local government collaborate, we can turn a planetary emergency into a portfolio of solutions. You are part of Generation Restoration. Join us in our next episode, where we will discuss how these demo sites are being integrated into official urban greening plans that we already mentioned today, to ensure nature stays in our cities forever. Keep monitoring and keep adapting.